was thrown into a rowdy session over $496 million Tucano aircraft purchase by the president and his request to include the $496 million in the 2018 appropriation bill before the National Assembly. Emmanuel Orkajev from Buruku Federal Constituency of Benue State and also Chairman House Committee on Rules and Business is still with us in our Abuja studios, as well as Mr. Tubosun Bolarinwa, security expert, here with me in the studios. Let me come to you again in Abuja. During Thursday's plenary, now, some members were of the opinion that the request by Mr. President should be presented as a bill and not in the form of a motion as presented by the acting deputy leader, Mohammed Monguno. Is that being considered at the moment?
Well, at the end of it, the Speaker referred the matter to me, to my committee, to advise, to go into the archives and see whether there's a precedence for what the President has done. You know, normally my position then, when the issue came up first on Tuesday, I believe, was that, look, apart from the appropriation where the President comes at a joint session and presents it before the National Assembly, other acts of appropriation like a supplementary appropriation or environment, the President simply sends communication, and when the communication is read, is taken as first reading, and so the subsequent appearance on the floor is second reading. Now, but some people are of the view that since the President has written to the House to consider money that has already been spent, then it really is a new phenomenon. And therefore, after much argument back and forth, the Speaker ruled that since this is a new development, we should check within the archives of the National Assembly and even beyond the shores of Nigeria to see whether what the President did could really, where it could be situated. So that is the assignment that we do have at the moment. So we'll come back when we'll come back with the result of the assignment that the Speaker gave.
Now, still on the plenary, same day, of course, some members noted that the spending process had already been declared illegal and the motion shouldn't be considered by the House at all. Do you think that the call for impeachment of Mr. President by some members is valid, going by sections 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the Constitution, and indeed section 143 of the same Constitution? Do you think that this is in order?
Well, I think what the President has done is wrong, and in this case, I think I'm not an apologist for bad behavior, but as for whether impeachment should be resorted to, I doubt that very much. Look, if you look at the provisions of section 143 that deals with the impeachment of the President or the Vice President, you see that it's quite a cumbersome process, and I doubt whether we could ever succeed going by the provisions of that section of the Constitution. In a year's time, we'll be facing a general election. I believe we should leave that to the Nigerian people to determine whether Nigerians are satisfied with the direction that this regime is taking us. It's just in a year's time, and that will come forward. It's a very cumbersome and messy process if we begin to resort into it now. For me, that is not the way to go for now, even though I believe that what the President did may be impeachable.
Let's get the security implications of this from you, Mr. Bolarinwa, because this has to do with national security. And it's okay, the process may be flawed, but this is for the greater good of securing the Nigerian state. If we have those 12 Tucano fighters, what do you think will be the efforts? How will the efforts in fighting insurgency in the Northeast, for instance, and even in Benue State, where Mr. Orkajev is from, how will that take shape?
Well, like you rightly said, Nigerian Air Force or Nigerian Security Agency needs that capacity. It's the capacity building. We don't have good enough fighter jets, and I think we're seeing the implication of that on the level of a success we're recording against the insurgency. I'm not a politician. I've listened to it. There was an analysis that came up online today about Pakistani authorities purchasing the same aircraft at a very, very lower rate, and we're looking at a deficit of almost $140-something million difference in that. And some people are asking questions.
Although the government has come out to say that even if you buy each Tucano for $9 or $10 million, the other packages that come with it will come.
So I don't have the details of that, and I'm not in a position to either castigate or support the government decision on that. In terms of technology advancement, Pakistani authorities are a little bit more advanced than Nigeria in production of warfare-related hardware. So maybe they did not buy the component that Nigerians are buying. But all the same, I wouldn't want a repeat of what happened under the last NSA, where money were going out and we're not seeing equipment in town, and top Air Force officers are being arrested with money stored in their tanks and everything. So we shouldn't politicize or use security challenges to siphon money. I'm not accusing the president of siphoning or embezzling money, but we just need to be extremely careful in the way we go about financing and spending money on security hardware.
Mr. Okejev, how do you think this Tucano aircraft, when they are being purchased, will help the people of Benue State?
Well, let me just quickly say this. No, even the National Assembly, the house to which I belong, nobody is questioning the desirability of having those aircrafts. You know, what we're saying is that there is a process to follow. We are a country of laws, and, you know, there are processes to follow. The process was not followed. That was why people were questioning. As for whether this thing would be useful to... Well, let's wait and see.
Why do you need... let me quickly ask you again. Why do you need the process to come through? Why do you need the process to be followed through when these deductions was made from the ECA, which is largely adjudged by people like you as illegal? Why should the ECA exist by this time?
Oh, you should be asking the presidency. They are the ones that deducted it from it and brought it to the National Assembly for rubber stamping. They are the ones who answer that question, not the National Assembly. I believe we have questioned it, like you said, but they are still operating it. And so you cannot use it as an excuse to be taking out money without resort to the National Assembly. And I'm sure they realize that that's why they still came to the National Assembly after spending the money already. So the problem that the National Assembly has now is spending the money and coming for rubber stamping later. I think that is the big issue at stake here.
I must thank you so much indeed, Ibadan Okejev from Buruku Federal Constituency, Benue State, and also Chairman, House Committee on Rules and Business, for talking to us on these very sensitive and important topics we're taking on today on State of the Nation, and also to security experts, Tubosun Abolarinwa, for sharing your thoughts with us. And also to everyone watching, that's how it's been on State of the Nation. I want to thank you so much indeed for watching. I am Gimba Umar, and this is State of the Nation. Bye for now.